Well, we are dealing right now with a pipeline supply issue. It was directly related to COVID. The major airlines, which are kind of, you think about where people aspire to eventually go to, they attrited or retired a good portion of the pilot force during the pandemic. And what we see today is that there is a competition right now for qualified pilots.
It's a pilot labor market. It doesn't matter if you're flying freight, if you're flying 200 passengers behind you, if you're flying 2 passengers behind you. There's a pilot shortage that we're dealing with right now. And the point is we need to recruit and retain top talent. And we're pulling from the same pool as the big leagues are, as the major airlines are. And it's just as important to fly our planes safely, regardless of size, as it is to fly those planes safely.
Certainly the experience level has gone down. The training footprint has not gone up. Guys are coming in and flying with a lot less experience than they used to.
A lot of companies had to drop some of their requirements as far as the total number of hours and so forth. And that's precipitously dropped at NetJets, and that's definitely concerning.
They're okay hiring all these super young pilots that aren't bad pilots, they just don't have experience yet. We can be going into some challenging airports with some challenging weather and someone sitting next to us that hasn't experienced that yet. And pretty much you're by yourself. And I'm not sure that management recognizes that environment that they're creating.
The owners want quality service, people with some experience and knows what they're doing. And I think the current environment, the way the company's hiring is not showing that at all. Because if you're getting guys in here with 1,000 hours and the company says, well, they've had X training, that may be so, but experience counts for a hell of a lot in what we do.
You can take all the air transport pilots in the United States and put them in an NFL football stadium and have 10,000 empty seats. That's how unique our profession is.
There's a high demand for pilots, and the company needs to up their game and just to attract a quality pilot, and they're not doing that. And it shows in the sense that the new hires are leaving drastically fast. We even have highly experienced pilots here, been here 15 to 20 years, that are leaving for greener pastures. And that to me is ridiculous. Somebody spent 20 plus years here, they say, I'm out of here. They've had it. And if you're losing that kind of experience, how are you supposed to train the guys that are new?
Absolutely think about going somewhere else, been looking at other contracts, been looking at websites for application preparation. To leave something I've been at for 20 years to start over at the bottom, I would be willing to do it.
The legacies are obviously, with their high pay, are able to take tons of talent. Low-cost carriers are hurting. You can see that at Southwest, you can see that at Spirit. And then you get to the other side of the fence where you have 135 operators, you have NetJets, you have fractionals. Because of the pay differential, they're just picking at the leftovers.
It's one of the rare times in our industry where skills are transferable. You can trade from one team to the other. There's not only a pilot shortage, there's a training backlog, and we have pilots with transferable skills. And it's important for corporations, whether you're American Airlines, Delta Airlines, or NetJets, to keep, retain, nurture, and promote your team. It's all about safety and customer service.
I think the owners are going to want the safest pilots, the most professional pilots in the cockpit, especially with NetJets. We have such a personal relationship with the owners. We greet them at the aircraft. We serve them drinks sometimes. We handle their bags. That's a real face-to-face relationship, even more so than, a pilot for American Airlines or Delta.
What we do daily, the challenges we do, working with the owners in the back, loading bags, we are just as qualified. We hold the exact same ratings. We have the exact same amount of flight times that our regional partners require to come here. And so I believe that we should be getting paid on the same level as our regional peers, as our major peers and legacy peers. We're just as qualified as they are.
I look at a 121 as like a factory job. You're doing the exact same thing over and over and over. It's just very repetitive. That makes their job easier. We're like charter pilots because people understand the concept of what a charter pilot is. It's like a taxi service. But then I explain that we operate like an airline. We're big like an airline. We have a lot of aircraft like an airline. But our scheduling is it's all over the place.
But the environment we fly in and day out is airports that sometimes you've never been to before. Highly congested airports for other pilots or like single engine guys are in your way. You got to deal with that all the time.
We could be anywhere international to anywhere in the country, to high elevation airports, to short fields, to people's farms.
You got to second guess everything to see if it's done right. You got to think outside the box constantly.
Cleaning the airplane, especially depending on how many pack flights we've had, can get pretty intensive too. There are a lot of pitfalls that you can make
and all that responsibility is on the pilots to complete. There's no one else who's really going to pick up the slack and get the mission done besides us.
So when I come to work, I have to look over 3 to 4 times as much information. And once I'm done looking at everything that's involved with safety, then I want to focus on my owners and what are their requests and what are their needs. And then, since I don't have flight attendants, I need to go to the back of the aircraft and make sure that it's presentable. I need to make sure the catering's good.
We load the bags, we clean the labs, we get the fuel, we do everything there is to do for a flight in between.
The way it's been going is many times about the third airport, the rest of our day completely changes. So we have to readjust, shift gears, get different fuel loads, different flight plans and so forth. So it really keeps you on your toes.
We also have to secure the airplane on the ground. There is no TSA, we are it. So we have to make sure that the plane is safe when we get there and when we leave. On the line, anywhere from 12 to 13 hours a day. When most of my airline counterparts, when I talk to them, they say they work 6 to 7 hours a day.
There's almost every tour we're putting out fires, and you just lose faith with the people in Columbus that know what they're doing. It's aggravating.
I want a 60% raise across the board. That's what I think is appropriate. That's how hard I think we work.
The ability to be agile and adaptable demands the compensation that we're asking for.
The people that are doing the hiring for pilots have to be competitive. If they don't, the voracious appetite for pilots will be absorbed, but it'll be absorbed by corporations that are willing to pay in order to get qualified individuals to man their cockpits.
People love to travel. American Airlines, for instance, we are the last airline in the United States to have true first-class service. And the company has announced that we're going to discontinue first-class service because those premium passengers are going to NetJets. The wealth in the world and in the United States, and here, of course, in the financial capital of the world, New York, Wall Street, the captains and kings of industry want to fly. They want to fly in comfort, and they're going to fly NetJets. Fuel prices are going down. You look at average fuel price Jet A per barrel last year was $110. Next year it's forecast to be at $105. Industry's yield is going up, and fuel prices are going down. It's a kismet for the pilot group to win an industry-leading contract.
I've seen NetJets shrink and then grow and change leadership several times. And at this point in time, we're seeing a transition away from the pilot group towards management and greed. I'm seeing a lot of the employees or all of the employee groups being left behind at this company.
I mentor pilots here at NetJets, and I mentor pilots outside of here. And I have a hard time recommending them to come here now. It's just been a constant downhill trend, especially over the last 2 years. I've recommended a lot of people here. I was a part of our union interview team for quite some time, and I just can't in good conscience recommend them to come here now because there's so much potential out there to have a better and brighter career.
There's certainly a cost of bringing pilots on board to not keep them for a length of time. The veracity of the hiring that's occurring right now, there's intense competition out there for qualified pilots. We can either retain the ones that we have, entice other ones to come on board, or we're going to train them to go somewhere else. And that seems like a very poor business decision.
I look at the numbers and seeing all the contracts that all the big carriers have put out, trying to find reasons to stick around besides the flying that I love and taking care of the owners and taking care of my fellow crew members. You know, financially and long term, it's hard to see where that makes sense. Every day that goes on, every tour that goes by, it's coming time to make a decision, really.
I came here to make this my career destination. That's something I still intend to do. But it is a serious conversation to be had whether or not I can have a more successful, more lucrative, more supportive career at the airline, specifically parental leave. That's not something we at NetJets have in our contract. There's huge quality of life improvements at other companies that are enticing.
It's outrageous that a corporation owned by Berkshire Hathaway doesn't have a maternity policy for women professionals. That's just outrageous.
Does he keep working for NetJets? Does he go to another airline? That is because we are, as you said, we are young, we just got engaged and we want to start a family. And how is that going to happen when he's out 7 days a week? When he comes home, he's not even himself for at least one day, and then he has to go out again 3 days for that. So yeah, it's just really difficult to even start thinking about starting a family when we don't even know what the conditions are going to be for us.
Makes me feel left behind and angry, like our management doesn't support us, like we are worthless pawns.
You just don't want a person to feel undervalued as an employee. It's important. These other companies, they've raised the salaries of the other pilots, but NetJets hasn't yet.
Just want to be paid a competitive wage. That's basically what it comes down to.
If we're going to invest time and monies in training a pilot, bringing them up to our standards, then I think we want to recoup that investment over time.
I think the pilots are the megaphone, and our actions together as a group is what is going to speak to the company.
This is the union right here, representing everyone who couldn't be here.
The fight for a new contract is always won at the kitchen table. And when we bring our families out here, it unifies the group, and it also shows that we mean business.
There's over 150 people, it seems like, at this picket. We're definitely making a show of solidarity.
To be able to see that in person and really feel the effect of that, I think is, for me, really special.
It really makes you feel like you're a part of the process as much as you can be.
So we all come together and we all work in unity to agree on stuff together, to get improvements together, to help each other, whether the good or the bad.
I've been with Tom and supported him in Omaha, I supported him in Dulles, and then now here today with this great show of people.
The company is looking at who showed up here today. And if 40 people showed up, that speaks way more than anything the e-board would say to management.
At the end of the day, I think we all want the same thing, is to have qualified people in our cockpits. Certainly our passengers deserve that. And I think the way you get there is to make NetJets a very desirable career path, one that draws people in as a career and not just a part-time or temporary job.
Stand behind your union leadership through good times and bad. That's your team. Stick behind them and don't flinch.